Hello and welcome to video 4. This is the final video for the GED website training. As I said at the beginning, some of these are going to be 2 hours and some of these are going to be 1 hour. Video 1 was an hour, video 2 was an hour, video 3 was an hour, video 4 is going to be 3 hours long. So when you get ready to do this video and the work, you're going to need to plan to set aside 3 hours for this video. I tried to separate it up into different sections, but it really wasn't going to work that way because everything's kind of all tied together. So be patient, bear with me, and some of this many of you have already seen before. If you haven't seen it before, it's not rocket science. It's pretty easy to follow along. So for this video, we're going to be looking at the Educator Handbook, the high impact indicators, and the proficiency level descriptors. So the first thing you'll need to do is, again, notice you don't have to log in to GED.com. You can just go straight to Educators at admins, and if you scroll kind of down to the bottom here, you'll see that there is some professional development training and resources to guide your instruction. If you will click that resources to guide your instruction, you'll see that there's some teaching resources available there. The first one is the Educator Handbook. This is the performance level descriptors and the high impact indicators. And then there's an assessment guide for educators there as well. So let's start out with the assessment guide for educators. And when you go into this one, you will see that there's just information on readiness, standardization, norming, and so it all has to do with the GED test, and so that kind of gives you an idea of where everything is on that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the Educator Handbook, and I apologize, I closed that before I had an opportunity to show you where that was. So if you go back into the teaching resources and you scroll back up, the Educator Handbook is right here. And then the performance level descriptors and your high impact indicators. So go into Educator Handbook, and I have these out for you already. You'll probably want to print this out, and it looks at the test content, some recommended teaching strategies, and a question that I get a lot is, how do I know if the students are ready? And the students come and say, how do I know if I'm ready? And so I'm not doing anything magical when they come to see me. I just pull this book, the Educator Handbook, and I go through and I look at what they have here. So I can see what's on the tests, and this breaks it down for me. It breaks it down to what the scores look like. It shows me what their range is, how they can score higher, and all that information is in here. So it also has a section here about using the performance level descriptors, and we're going to go over those in just a bit. So definitely, if you don't print anything else in your whole life, print that Educator Handbook. It answers almost all your questions that you have about the GED test. Okay, so when you've done that, you can take a look at it. You can find what information is there. So that's a good place to start. The next thing I wanted you to look at are the high impact indicators. And now this one is kind of neat because what we have found is that students tend to miss the same kinds of questions, no matter what city they live in, no matter what state they live in, no matter what country they live in. They all tend to miss the same kinds of questions. So if you look at this, you can automatically see what the indicator is that they are missing and what that ordering, like for example, this one is order of sequences of events, and this tells exactly what they are looking for, what you should look for, and so the student work shows that they're capable of doing that thing right there. When you look here, determining the meaning, this is what you're looking for. When you read here, This is what they're looking for. Now realize that these are just the indicators that are high impact. That means they're the ones that are tested most often on the test, and they're the ones that you're going to have to go through and teach specifically. For example, in science, this is identify and refine hypotheses for scientific investigations. This is what you look for in the student's work. So if you are planning your lessons and you're not looking to put these types of activities in, you're not going to be able to find that in the student's work. And then you're going to be asking me, are they ready? Well, if you're doing it the right way, then that's what you're going to be doing. So the next thing that I want to show you is when I ask you to work together on projects and you begin doing some project-based learning, here's the relationships between the high impact indicators for your subject and other content areas. So here is a reading, language arts, order sequences of events and texts. Social studies has several, science has 2. Look at all the math. So please don't come and tell me math and reading can't do anything together, because obviously there and here are the perfect high impact indicators. So you can sit down together, you can look at what you need to do, and you can find the related indicator from the other subject areas. So you can find ways to work together. So that's going to be something that I definitely want y'all to print out and work together when you're working on your lesson plans together. Okay, so the next thing is the performance level descriptors. Now in the performance level descriptors, you can see that this is written really, really small. And I have to kind of extend it out quite a bit just to be able to see what these performance levels are. But I wouldn't lose sleep over not being able to see this one. I wouldn't, because there is a better one when you look at those, okay? And that's this one. These are the performance level descriptors written easier, because that's really hard to read. But this one is really easy because this is one that you can share with your students. So if they don't pass, they're at level 1, and you can show them what they're doing wrong. There's math, there's all the information that they need on that one, and it goes through and it does level 2 math, level 3 math, and so on. And level 3 is GED ready, and level 4 is GED college ready plus credit. And then it goes through the same thing with reading, science, and social studies. So it's all there. So if they say, well, you know, I didn't pass my test, or I want to make a higher score, then you can give them a copy of this and you can show them what they are lacking. Okay, the last thing I want you to take a look at is the assessment target comparison table. So on the left-hand side is what we read: comprehend explicit details and main ideas in text. So when you're talking to them, you tell them, I want you to be able to understand specific details and main ideas in a passage. And this kind of comes in handy even just as an educator, because I don't want to sit there and try to figure out what all of this means, but I've got it right here. Make generalizations or hypotheses based on evidence in a written source. So it's easier for me to understand, it's easier for me to go through and read quickly. And when I'm teaching the students, and I know that some of y'all had asked a question about how you were supposed to put something on the board of, you know, what we were doing that day, this is what you would put up. You wouldn't put comprehend explicit details and main ideas in text. You would say understand specific details and main ideas in a passage. Summarizing, you know, and this one, this big old one here, you can use this indicator language test translated for the test takers, so that when I come in and I ask them, and I'm doing a walkthrough and I ask them, what are you doing? They can tell me in their own words, because they can read this as opposed to this. Okay, so those are all of the things that you're going to be working on, and I know that that's quite a bit. So we have looked at the Educator Handbook. We've looked at the high impact indicators. We've done a comparison of the high impact indicators across the content areas. And we've looked at the proficiency level descriptors. or the performance level descriptors, I apologize. And we've also done the assessment target comparison table. So this one is going to be a super long assignment, like I said. So the first thing I'd like you to do is print off your Educator Handbook. And when you printed it off, you're going to email me the pages that have to do with the subject that you teach. Okay? Then you're going to print out the high impact indicators, and you're going to do a lesson, whatever lesson you would choose, and how it ties into one of the HIIs, the high impact indicators. So you're going to do a lesson correlation between the high impact indicators and one of your lessons. Then you're going to print out the high impact indicator across content area. And on that one, you're going to choose one of your lessons and figure out how you can tie it into all three of the other subject areas. Okay, and so you've got the correlations to do that now. And then finally, I want you to print out the performance level descriptors. And you can print these ones, or you can print these ones. Okay, let me go up to the top there where we can find the one that's, okay. So you can print either one, either set that you like, and I think I prefer these ones. And when you have done that, tell me what pages those are on. So you'll just have to email me what pages are your subjects. So, reading would be pages 1 through, not going to tell you, you'll have to look for it. Math will have to be, you'll have to look for those because I'm not going to tell you what pages they're on. But go ahead and get all of those done. I realize that it is a lot for you to do, but like I said, this is a 3-hour section, and you can see why I kind of wanted it all together. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or email me, because I know this is a big one. Thanks, and have a good one.